Hello everybody, this is Dedra with Papercrafts and Planners, and today I'm unboxing and playing with the Crafty Courtyard subscription box from Pink and Main for June 2021. It comes with some paper, some 210-pound white, a blue glitter, a sort of yellowy green, and then this blue has a texture to it like a crosshatch pattern. There's an orangey color. There's a blue with some raised dots, and then there's also a yellow with some raised dots, which for some reason I put aside and had to find. And it is like a brownish yellow. Okay, then it comes in this mesh bag, which is super cute. I really love that you can store everything in that mesh bag when you're done. There is a flare pin, and this month's it is a cute little crab. Here's your inspiration card and a list of what comes in the kit. There's some sequins and there's some shells and blue and like dark blues, light blues, and translucent blue. Really cute. These papers are 6x6 that come with the kit. They are a slick paper, so keep that in mind when you're working with it. And this is called Vitamin C. So cute. They're double-sided. You get 24 sheets. And there's a yellow polka dot there. And this one's like some wave patterns on the back of that shell. I love the strips here. They're really versatile when you get that. This is that orangey color. And then there are some fish and that pattern again in a yellow. So a lot of the patterns repeat in just slightly different shades. And I love this one with the waves on the corners. And that does again in a darker sort of a teal blue with a diagonal stripe. There's some flamingo. I love that pattern too. And some more fish and waves. I like that one with the waves all over. That's pretty. And some more shells. And like I said, they repeat just in a different pattern. And on the back of this one, it says Hello Sunshine over and over, which is really cute. And there are some of these enamel dots, and they have a glitter to them, which has been every month so far that I've gotten the kit, have been these glitter. There is a stencil this month, which is really interesting and very versatile. I don't use a lot of it, but it is really cute. And I had more ideas, but I wanted to stick with just making 12 cards today. I didn't really want to make, you know, use up the whole kit. I'm sure in the future I will though. And there is a die set and a stamp set. Stamp set is really cute. It has a lot of cute sentiments that go with this sunshine and sea beach theme. I love those sunglasses too. And then there's a die. Now the sunglasses are a different size than the stamp, the die is, so it's just a separate die. There's some shells, a seahorse, and Hello Sunshine. And then there is an embossing folder that matches some of that paper, which is really cute to be able to be versatile with that embossing folder, which I don't end up using this time, but I'm sure I will in the future again. Okay, so we're going to get some card bases together and get started. The first design I had, I wanted to make a porthole. So I took some of these layering dies or nesting dies that I had, and I took the two dies and put one inside the other and ran it through my die cut machine. So I ended up with this frame or porthole piece. And then I used some of the different papers that look like you'd see them through a porthole, which I thought was really cute. And I cut a circle out of each of those patterns that I thought you would see through the porthole in the smaller of the two dies that I used to cut that frame or porthole piece. And this is a polka dot, which is adorable. And I used some of that orangey paper for the frame or for the card base, which I cut at 6.5 by 6 1/4 and scored at 3 1/4. So I have a 6 1/4 by 3 1/4 card front, which makes it perfect for these 6x6 papers. You just cut them in half at 3 and you have a 3x6 piece, which is perfect to go on the front of a mini Slimline card base. I love these little seahorses that go every which direction. So cute. And then I stamped this Hello Sunshine on just a piece of white, and I'm going to dovetail the end to match the others that I did. Just cut a slit right up the middle and then from the corner into that center where you cut that slit. And I'm going to put some glue on this and kind of put it underneath the porthole. For some reason my camera cut out a little bit here, but you can see I added some enamel dots just like on the others. And then we're going to add a centerpiece. So I just cut some white, and then I'm going to back it or frame it with this Seahorse piece and put it inside the card so there's a nice little place to sign on this colored card base. Okay, my next card, I wanted to do a regular Slimline card, and 6x6 papers don't really fit across, so I had to do some fancy cutting. Not really, I used a die. And I just took two different pieces of paper and I taped them together next to each other, and then I centered or put the die on it so that I could cut it perfectly. This card base is 8.5 by 7.5, and I scored it at 3 1/4, or 3, sorry, and then folded it. So it's 3 by 8.5 on the front. And I just used one of these Slimline dies that I have from scrapbook.com. It's one of their brand, to cut out these pieces. And you can see I made one just a little bit smaller, and I just kind of eyeballed it when I put the die on that paper, on the two pieces of paper, to see how I wanted to lay it out. Just make sure you tape them down nicely so they don't shift when you're die cutting two different papers, especially slick paper like this. And then I had a little scrap piece of paper. I decided to put it across that seam and add it there. And then I used that die cut with the Hello Sunshine and backed it with some of the polka dot paper. Cut out some of the sunglasses, which I end up using those sunglasses a lot. I think they might have been my favorite die right behind the Seahorse. The Seahorse is really cute. So we're just going to attach that down there. And this is my favorite adhesive. If you don't have a favorite liquid glue, this Barely Art, I think it's called, Precision Craft Glue. I love the tip on it, and I love that it dries clear and matte. I just used some regular dye ink. This one's close to my heart, to stamp a black flamingo on an oval. And this is an oval die set that I have that's nesting like that circle one I showed you. And I'll link to all that. And then on the inside, I just cut a white piece so that there was a space to sign on the inside of this card. And that's it, nothing fancy on the inside of this one. And there we have it. This one I used a die, and I ended up making 3, just like I did with that mini Slimline. Because when you cut this out 3 times with 3 different patterns, it's really cute. You can get 3 different cards from it, card fronts. You could see I cut the sunglasses out of that glitter paper, and then a seahorse, and some enamel dots, and then we're going to put this one together so I can show you how easily it goes together. And I have 3 different designs, one for the frame and then one for inside. And this can go either way, this die, but I ended up putting it at the bottom, the circle with the rays kind of going up and out, because when I cut it with the fish paper, I didn't notice that there really was an orientation for these fish because they have a little eyeball. And so the way I had done it, they would have looked upside down if I had done that sun or that circle at the top. So I ended up switching it around and doing it at the bottom, which it looks good either way. This fits perfectly on a 4 1/4 by 5.5 card base, so your standard card base. So it's easy to line up and get on there. You don't have to leave a rim around it. And then you can either put your adhesive right on the piece that you're inserting, or you can put the adhesive and then just add the pieces. Now they have a little bit around the edges, a little bit of a rim to them that kind of turns down so that you can see which way it goes, especially when you're using, this is double-sided paper and I'm using both sides. So I used both of the pieces to cut out. So I do get confused here a little bit on one of them and don't realize I have it upside down. I can't figure out where it goes, but I figure it out by realizing that I had it turned the wrong way. So you see me fiddle with one of the pieces here a little bit in a minute because I don't realize I have it upside down. But you can see how you just run this through 3 times with 3 different designs of paper, and you've got 3 unique card fronts. And here's the one I don't figure out for some reason. where it goes. In a minute I have a, oh yeah, it's upside down moment. And I figure it out. And then I just, for these center pieces that I cut of that Hello Sunshine paper, I just used a punch that I have in my stash, and it is a 1.5 inch. You could even go smaller. But the 1.5, I kind of liked how it filled out that area and covered up the center. But of course you could always leave the center just like it is because it's decorated too. And then I have those sunglasses, super cute. You could also add some enamel dots around here or some sequins, whatever you wanted to do to kind of fill in and decorate it even more. But I just liked it with just the glasses there. I thought it was cute. All right, this next card, I wanted to use the seahorses. So I cut out a piece of the shell paper, and it is 4.25 by 5.5, so the exact size of the card front. So it's easy to kind of stand your card base up and arrange it since it fits perfectly on there. And then this is 3 by 4.25, sorry. And then I'm going to kind of center it up there. I love this shade, so pretty. And the seahorse, I cut out of that greenish yellow color. And I cut out a bunch of the little shells in all different scraps. Whatever scrap I had lying on the desk at that point, I just cut a shell out of it, ran them all through my die cutting machine at once. And I'm going to use some Nuvo drops, crystal drops in this black to put an eye on that seahorse. Because I just thought it looked odd with the paper showing through the seahorse eye. So I decided to add that black. And again, this paper's slick, so you might have to put a block down or something to hold your die cuts in place just a little bit while this glue dries. It's pretty quick drying glue, but it did want to shift around a little bit because of the slick paper. And I love these different shells, all the different designs. And so I just cut out several. And I think I had an extra one of this and I ended up using it on a different card. And then I stamped this Good Vibes Only and just trimmed around it with my detail shears, sort of in a shape there, which I thought was really cute. And then I'm going to put this other seahorse in the middle, which I have to be careful because now I have that wet spot on the eye of the seahorse on the front. And I'll go back later and put a black dot in the middle of this seahorse too, but after everything's dry. All right, I'm using the seahorse again in this Hello Sunshine die. I've backed it with some of that orangey color. And this was just some paper that I had in my collection, in my stash, and I made a regular A2 size card base. This is a strip that comes, I cut off the bottom since I didn't need all of it for the card front. And I made it the size, I believe I made it exactly the size of the card base, 4.25 by 5.5. And again, I used my oval die set and cut this oval out. And then I'm just going to try to put this where it's not covering up the sailboats or the seahorses. I don't want it to cover anything up. That's really cute. So that's how I figured out where to place it. And then we're going to put that seahorse down. And again, I'm going to add a black dot for the eye because I think that's cute to have that little detail. And this is a white card base, so I don't really do anything. I just leave the inside blank since it's white. Okay, on this one, I took 2 pieces and I cut them each at 4.25 by 5.5. And then I put them on my paper trimmer and trimmed them straight down the middle, and then put them on a white piece and then trimmed the whole thing down to 4 by 5.25. So I left a little bit of that card base showing in this orangey color that's so cute and coordinates so well with everything. Then I cut this square at 3.25 by 3.25, and then this at 3 by 3, or a 3-inch square, I should say. I don't need to tell you that both sides are the same because it's a square. And then I just put it, kind of centered it here on this card. And then I used some more of that orange paper scrap and I stamped that "I sure do miss you." Just put it right there on that square. And then I cut a piece of the sunglasses out of some blue paper, used some shimmer pin to decorate it, and I mounted it on some of this clear acetate. I have some scraps of clear acetate, and so that's what I did, and then I trimmed around. So you've got kind of a lens effect. Not sunglasses really, I guess they'd be darker, but a lens on there. And then on the inside I have a piece of white, and I just put a little bit of a detail with some strip that I had left over from that paper that has all the strips on it. And then I put some sunglasses on the inside. I ended up cutting just a bunch of sunglasses and a bunch of seahorses and not knowing exactly how I was going to use them, but I knew I would. And then this is that extra shell that I just didn't think the color went with the other card, so I'm going to use it on the center of this one. I don't want to waste it. And there you have it. All right, on this one, I knew I wanted to use some of the stencil, at least on something. So I put some white paper down and then I taped the stencil to it and just used two different colors of Distress Oxide. The yellow, the mustard seed, and then up to that marmalade one. And I just used one from the bottom up and one from the top down. Just like that with the stencil on top. And then I used the black Distress Oxide to stamp those palm trees, which are so cute. And that's it, really simple. That's the only thing I did with the stencil on this one, though later I may come back and use it on something else. And I stamped a sentiment and then some of the schools of fish. Now just use a black dye ink. And if you're going to do this on the slick paper, be very careful not to touch where you stamp and let it dry for a bit, because it does want to smear on this paper if you're not careful. And then I'm going to put that right there, and I think this just, I really like this one with that Distress Oxide sort of sun or in the middle there, and then all the stamping around it. And again, this is a white card base, so I don't decorate it. All right, so I'm just showing you all, I cut out these circles to make those first ones, and I wanted those first three cards, and so I had these circles left over, and I thought, well, I'm going to stamp on them some different stamps from the collection. And then I cut out this blue one because that one circle was a glitter and I didn't want to use that. So I did kind of a scene here with the clouds and the sun, and then I stamped right on, again, on the card base. I'm just going to adhere this down. This is standard size card base again. And I've cut it just slightly, about 1/8 of an inch. So 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 for that front cover piece. And then I'm going to arrange these three. So I've got the moon or the sun, whatever you want to call it, with some clouds, and then the lighthouse and some birds and a dolphin, and then the crabs and some of the, what is it, coral, I think. I was saying that it was seaweed before, but it's not, it's coral. I keep calling it seaweed in my head. It's coral. And then I'm just going to arrange those three, and I think that looks really cute like that. And I got to use those circles. Okay, so here's all the cards I made. I ended up with 12. So 3 of these mini Slimlines, and then some A2 size cards. So some standard size cards. And I did 1 Slimline. You can see I really like those glasses. And there's my full-size Slimline card. And then here are the 2 that I was putting aside so they could dry a little bit. Some more A2 size. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Happy crafting!